everyone, it's Marika from Herasphere and Dynamic Strength Physiotherapy. And I just wanted to have a little bit of a chat to you about postnatal recovery and returning to sport. It's a little bit of a pet topic of mine, and I think because I see a lot of this, which is you've had your baby, you've maybe done a little bit of postnatal exercise in a class, so a bit of Pilates, a bit of yoga, maybe a bit of hydrotherapy exercise, all of which are fantastic and some of which I teach and have taught before. But then kind of going from doing a little bit of this straight back into this, okay, with a whole lot of stuff missing in this part here, okay? So this is commonly what I see, and sometimes when women do this, they will come to see us as physiotherapists with maybe some back pain, knee pain, pelvic floor issues like incontinence or prolapse. And I think there's just something missing from this process that we're going to have a little bit of a chat about. Okay, so if you can just bear with me for a minute, I'm going to talk about knee surgery. And you're probably thinking, what the hell has this got to do with me getting back into sport after I have a baby? But just bear with me. I'm just going to use this analogy for a minute, because when I worked in the UK for a long time, I worked at a knee clinic, and I used to see a lot of people who had knee surgery, so commonly an ACL reconstruction, which many of you have probably heard of and know someone who's had. So if someone came to see me who'd had knee surgery, we would go through this process, and this is not exactly in a linear fashion by any means, but we would take someone who's had surgery and we would take them through this process. And at the bottom here is return to sport. So that's what that RTS is. So we would look at reducing the swelling in the knee, reducing the pain, getting their what we call range of motion better, so getting their joint moving better. We would look at improving their gait, which is the way they're walking, so teach them how to walk without a limp. We'd work on their strength, their balance, their proprioception, that awareness of where their knee is in space. We would look at improving their power. We would maybe start adding some impact exercise. Then we'd move on to some agility work, so getting them changing directions, hopping, landing, twisting, turning, getting that confidence in the knee and that awareness of where the knee is in space and which direction it's moving. We would then work on sport-specific exercises. So if someone was I commonly worked a lot with sort of people who played soccer or rugby. Didn't see a lot of volleyballers actually. So, and a lot of skiers actually. So we'd say, okay, what is it that you need for that sport? What are the skills that you are going to require to get back into that sport safely? Because ultimately, if I had someone with an ACL reconstruction, by the time they get to here, I want them to have 100% confidence in their knee, because you cannot go back to sport thinking, I'm not really sure, my knee's like not quite feeling right, I'm going to be thinking about contracting these muscles and tightening this. No, when you run onto the field, your mind is on the game. You can't be thinking about joints, muscles, what's happening when. You've just got to be 100% into the game. So how does this relate to postnatal recovery? Well, it is really, really similar. So the timeframes might be similar, they might be a little bit different, but ultimately, if you've had a baby, we still want to do all of these things. And I think what's happening at the moment is most people are getting to somewhere around here and skipping all of this kind of stuff and really returning to sport without the baseline skills that are required. Okay, so this might be a way of looking at setting up your postnatal rehabilitation, and you might want to get some health and fitness professionals involved in this at various stages. It depends how confident you are with where you're at and how to set up an exercise program. But let's just go through it. And look, this is very much completely off the top of my head. I do just kind of make stuff up as I go along, but this is the way that I work and it's the way that I think, and it's very simple. There's nothing complicated about this. It's quite logical, but it is something that a lot of people don't do. So sometimes simple and logical gets thrown out the window. I don't know why. So let's just think about it. So you've had your baby. Hey, smiley face. Yay, very exciting. Early stages, rest and recovery is really important. So we were talking about with the knee analogy, swelling, but if you have a vaginal delivery, you probably do have some swelling in the perineum. So this early stages might be looking at swelling. Range of motion, maybe not so much for a vaginal delivery, but we might see that with someone who's had a C-section. So if you've had a cesarean and you're kind of a little bit crunched over like this trying to protect your scar, trying to open you up and give you that movement again through your upper body might be part of what we want to achieve, and reducing pain as well. So those first few weeks really, in my mind, are about recovery from birth, getting to know your baby, establishing breastfeeding if that's something that you want to do. And if you want to go do some exercise and probably some gentle walking, you can start your pelvic floor contractions as soon as you feel able, and just really keeping it quite low key in terms of exercise. And generally by about that 6-week mark, you're going to go see your GP to have or your obstetrician to have your postnatal assessment. Now, the postnatal assessment with your doctor is really just checking to make sure that you've stopped bleeding, your scarring is healed, there's no signs of infections or anything like that, checking over the baby, and then giving you some kind of birth control. That's really what that postnatal check is all about. In terms of, so a lot of people think when they go have that check that they're having a pelvic floor assessment, but actually 99% of the time there's not a pelvic floor assessment done in that session. So really, it's the women's health physiotherapists that do that postnatal assessment in terms of the pelvic floor. So checking for prolapse, checking to make sure that the scar tissue is healing well, seeing if your pelvic floor is activating well, what's your endurance like, is it moving in the right direction? So I encourage all of my clients to go have a check around that sort of 6 to 8 week mark with a specialist continence physiotherapist. Even if they're not having any issues, I just find it's really helpful to just run through some basic advice and have an assessment and know that everything is kind of working well, okay? So this is kind of where we're at, maybe that 6 to 8 week mark. And then from there, a lot of people will move into some kind of exercise classes. So for myself, I run Pilates-based classes in Perth, but there are many other exercise classes for new mums. I would just encourage you to make sure that you go to someone who has a really good background. I know, sorry, I'm saying background, knowledge based in terms of pelvic floor issues, diastasis, which is the tummy muscle separation. There are a lot of people who teach postnatal exercise who don't know about these things. And really, if you're 6 to 8 weeks postnatal and you're going to a class where you're doing burpees and sprints and star jumps, I'm going to say straight out that that's inappropriate. That's this stuff down here. You're not ready for that when you're up here, okay? So the gym can be a fantastic place to work on this baseline strength, home exercises. So there's lots of options for you at this stage, but really what we're looking at is building the strength of the pelvic floor, the abdominal muscles, glutes, quads, kind of whole body strength, but generally in a way that's low impact to allow the pelvic floor to recover. So if this might take quite a few months, it really depends on the person. Honestly, I find timeframes postnatally kind of useless. I'll have some clients who are back running, around that 12 to 14 week mark, and I've had runners who have been running much earlier than that. Whereas a lot of other women will find that it takes them 5 or 6 months to get back into running if that's something that they want to do. So saying to people, yeah, by 12 weeks, 16 weeks, you'll be fine. That's not really true because it's very, very variable. It depends on what your pregnancy was like, how fit were you before you had your baby, what was your birth like? Did you have a 3rd degree tear? Did you have a C-section? What was that experience like for you and your body, and how has your recovery been? Have you been having any sleep since you've had your baby? How are you feeling mentally and physically? There's so many things that impact on this, okay? So the impact on impact. So this stage here, this impact stage, might take quite a while to get back to, okay? And when you feel that you're at the stage where maybe you want to introduce a little bit of impact, so a lot of my clients want to get back into running, I will suggest to them, hey, when everything feels like it's heading in the right direction and you want to try a jog, try maybe a 5-minute brisk walk and then 30 seconds jog, 30 seconds walk, repeat that a couple of times, leave that for a couple of days, see how you feel. Is there any heaviness downstairs? Is there any pain? Are you having any incontinence? See how you feel. And then if that's feeling fine, then increase your on time, reduce your off time, and just build it up slowly. Because what we don't really want to be doing is going from walking to running 5Ks. We want to allow our body an opportunity to react to that load and to build muscle strength and to stimulate muscle contraction, etc. And whereas if you go in too hard, too fast, sometimes it can overload the system. In terms of power, so power is, looking at strength in time. So it might be something like lifting big heavy weights fast, or power might involve doing things like a big box jump, so a body weight jump onto a high thing. A lot of my clients don't do a lot of power work. I myself probably don't do enough power work, but this might be something that you want to incorporate into your program depending on what it is that you want to achieve. Agility work is very important for ball sports or anything where you're going to be cutting, changing directions, going in one way while looking at the other. So at this point, if you were saying to me, I want to go back to netball, well, what is it that you need to do for netball? You need to be able to run that way, accelerate, push off that foot, change direction. You need to be looking over there while being able to run that way. You need to not be thinking about what your body is doing. You just need to be getting out there, looking at what the ball is doing, where the other players are, where your body is in space is not something that you want to really be focusing on. So that agility work, step overs, zigzag running, running forward, running back, getting used to pushing off and changing directions and seeing, how does your system cope? How does the pelvic floor feel? Are there any pain issues in there as well? And then that's really getting more into the sport-specific drills, okay? So I hope this helps. I know it's really, really simple stuff, but I think have a think about what is your ultimate goal and what do you need in order to be able to get there. If you guys want to get in contact with me, feel free to email me, marika@harrisphere.net. And obviously, if you're in Perth and you want to come along to some classes, I do Pilates-based exercise program for new mums and also individual consults for people who want to go back into the gym.